Hey folks, Mike Dawkins from Worldcast Anglers here with your Jackson Hole fly fishing forecast for the weekend of July 16th and 17th. Half of the month of July is gone. We're creeping into our summer, and what we're starting to see is more bug hatches, more fishing opportunities. Our walk wade opportunities and tributaries are really stabilizing. Water temperatures are gradually getting warmer, and now we're sort of still in that area of our summer, beginning of our summer fishing season, where you can sort of do no wrong wherever you go. I'm on the Snake here right outside of Jackson, Wyoming. It's a beautiful afternoon and early evening in the greater Jackson Hole area. As you can see, there's a little bit of snow left, but most of our runoff, if not all of our runoff, is gone. And we're starting to see the Snake behind me really drop, really clear, and it's in true summer fishing fashion, which is great news for those here in the immediate Jackson area. That opens up the Snake top to bottom as a great fishery for the rest of the summer and into the fall season. Looking into our weekend, it's going to be hot. We've got some daytime temperatures up there in the mid 90s. Our lows are in the mid 50s. In Jackson here, it's going to be a little bit cooler than, say, the South Fork Canyon or the Ashton area, but it's going to be hot. We've got some heat warnings, and we've got some afternoon thunderstorms maybe rolling in here and there. So drink plenty of fluids, wear plenty of sunscreen, get on the water early, get on the water late during these hot periods, and it's going to be very advantageous to you, and your fishing. Looking at Palisades Reservoir, 71% of capacity. Jackson Lake, feeding the Snake right here behind me, is 46% of capacity. As I was saying last week, we're starting to see consumptive water users call for water, so we're going to start to see our reservoirs being drafted instead of filling. Last week, Palisades Reservoir was 75% of capacity from this report, so we're starting to see some incremental percentage decreases as summer continues to wane. Our Fly Shop happy hour this week, we've got 25% off all leaders and tippet. Come in, stock up, get ready for the summer season. We've got dollar beers for those thirsty attendees 21 and over. Our sale rack is 60% off, and we've also got the buy one dozen, get one dozen free flies this Friday at the Fly Shop for our Fly Shop happy hour. The Snake behind me, 2,230 CFS being discharged from Jackson Lake Dam, 5,940 CFS there on the lower river below me in the canyon. We've seen those flows really taper off, and that drop start to get a little bit sharp. Clarity is awesome. It's been a bug bonanza out here on the Snake. We've got stone flies, sort of salmon flies here and there, mostly down there around the Hoback maybe, golden stones, yellow sallies, PMDs, and caddis. So we've got all sorts of bugs hatching throughout all sorts of times of the day. Typically, we start to see the Snake fish well later in the day as things warm up. You've got to think Jackson Lake and the Jackson area is at a much higher altitude than, say, the South Fork of the Snake, the Teton, or even the Henry's Fork. So we've seen afternoon periods be more productive than mornings, and we're starting to see fish creep in to their summer feeding and holding areas out of some of those slower water types. So I still would check out a little bit of everything. I check out a lot of seams, I check out a lot of eddies, I check out a lot of recircs, and then I would sort of poke around and start checking out some of the riffles and some of the banks and some of the things here and there. Definitely not the ones that are ripping fast in sort of that August mindset, but you're going to have to sort of stick and move and find those fish, because they are sort of scattered around here and there, but they're starting to gravitate more into those summer water types. Dry dropper fishing with chubbies, Duracells, tungsten tactical jig, P-tails, any of those types of things have been really good. And then some of the smaller tractor dry fly fishing is gaining some consistency here on the Snake as well. The South Fork of the Snake, 12,300 CFS from Palisades Dam, 12,600 CFS down there by Heise. The South Fork is still ticking on all cylinders, similar to the Snake. Top to bottom, it's fishing well. We're seeing the salmon flies up on the upper river sections now, and usually when they start to hit Spring Creek Bridge, they sort of peter out a little bit, and you'll find some pockets of them, here and there. But this salmon fly hatch, has sort of the 2021 hatch, has been really dense, and we're seeing a lot of bugs, and we're seeing a lot of really full fish. So definitely keep that in mind when you're heading towards the South Fork. Golden stones are following behind them. Drakes are pretty much done, but what we're really starting to see is some of the PMD and the yellow Sally fishing on some of our riffles, you know, where those fish will stack up in some of those feeding areas. It's not like it has been in previous years, you know, it's taking some time for those fish to get into those holding areas, very similarly here to the snake, where we're starting to see that riffle fishing gain in consistency, as well as our dry dropper fishing and big foam fishing has been excellent the past couple of weeks. The Teton over in Teton Valley is 515 CFS outside of Driggs, 732 CFS there on the lower river. The lower river's still been fishing really darn good dry droppers with goldens and stoneflies, as well as general attractors, you know, and bushy, you know, attractor flies like PMD parawolves and, you know, PMD, you know, parachutes and things like that. The upper river has definitely been following into its own with yellow Sallies, some leftover Drakes in the beginning of the PMDs. So if you're looking to do something different and, you know, fish a little bit of some slower water that's not as rapid or demanding as like the Snake or the South Fork, the Teton is a great spot. Double dry rigs with double parachutes, you know, small dry dropper rigs, early mornings, late evenings with rusty spinners and some of the PMD spinner falls has been really good. So the Teton is in true summer fashion as well. The Henry's Fork, 1,470 CFS there coming out of the box. 2,140 CFS there on the lower river around Ashton. Usually we start to see the river around Ashton slow down, you know, a bit around the 4th of July. We've got a couple extra bonus weeks, but we're starting to see that taper off now, especially with this heat. You know, it's supposed to be in the high 80s here in Jackson. Areas of Ashton are calling for mid-90s to high 90s. So with that comes increased water temperatures, increased weed growth, and additional stress on fish. So if you are going to fish up there, be looking for PMDs, caddis, you know, flavs, the gray drakes, and those spinner falls early in the morning periods. And then in the afternoon, when with the bright sun and the you know, uber or the warming water temperatures, you know, take a break, chill out, go take a nap, do something along those lines before your evening sessions. The Box Canyon has still been very good with dry dropper fishing and nymphing. You know, 1,400, 1,500 CFS in the box can make it a pretty quick ride. So definitely getting those flies down and keeping them down, and also keeping them in the zone is going to be the most advantageous thing for you if you find yourself in the Box Canyon. You know, longer droppers than shorter, things along those lines are going to be very productive. The ranch has been good now that things have settled out, especially after the flow changes earlier this week. We're seeing leftover flavs, we're seeing the brown drakes, and we're seeing PMDs. You know, concentrate on those morning and evening periods with the spinner falls, and you should be pleasantly surprised with, you know, some pretty good head hunting and technical dry fly fishing. Our walk wade fisheries, as I started the report, are really dropping into shape. Pine Creek, some of the South Palisades Reservoir tributaries, the Teton River tributaries have all been fishing really well in sort of that true freestone environment. Dry droppers, attractors, small streamers, things along those lines. I'd be really excited to go check out the Grovant. The salmon fly hatch on the Hoback has been super dense. There's some bugs still buzzing around there. The grays south of here, you know, any of those things, I would say they're fair game. You know, if you're tired of being in the boat from the spring and the early summer season and you want to hike around and do something different, get after it, pack a backpack and a lunch, and get away from some of the crowds now that summer is in full effect in the greater Jackson and Teton Valley area. You know, we've had some folks going to the Salt. It's been fishing good with the tractors, dry droppers. The Green is still fishing really well. So, you know, I'm sure you guys are probably tired of me saying you've got good options anywhere you go. You know, wherever you throw the dart on the dartboard, it's going to be a good one. So it really depends on what you want to do and what you're looking at doing. If it's dry fly fishing or foam fishing, you know, the South Fork or the Snake is probably a good one. Small dry fly fishing and technical fishing, the Teton, Henry's Fork is pretty good. You want to get away from the crowds, check out some of the walk wade tributaries as well as some of the lakes and reservoirs. So you've got a lot of good stuff going on. So definitely stop in, check out our Fly Shop happy hour. $1 tall boys for 21 and over. Buy a dozen, get a dozen free flies. Our sale rack is 60% off, and this week's feature is 25% off leaders and tippet at the Fly Shop, at the WCA Fly Shop in Victor. We're open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day of the week. We look forward to seeing everyone. Have a great weekend and a safe weekend on the water, and we'll see you here next week.